Welcome, marketing chefs. I've got something truly special cooking in our Omni-Channel oven today. Marketing Kitchen TV Q&A Live, Episode 9. Up next in the Marketing Kitchen. Welcome to the kitchen, the Marketing Kitchen. Hi, I'm Ron Vining, your host of Marketing Kitchen TV. Hey marketing chefs, welcome to episode 9, part 9, chapter 9, whatever you want to call it, of our marketing Q&A, where you ask your questions on Twitter right here at MarketingKitchenTV utilizing the hashtag Q&A, and I answer them right here on YouTube. And if you haven't asked a question yet and you'd like to, then you just go to our Twitter feed right there at MarketingKitchenTV, hashtag Q&A, ask it on Twitter, and I'll answer it here on YouTube. We have a new Instagram page that I've been promoting across the most recent videos. You can access it by this same handle right here. I'd love for you to join us on Instagram as well. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to our channel. Please like our videos. I bet you it's the opposite. Please subscribe to the channel, like our videos, and offer a comment as well, and share it with your friends. I would really like to grow this channel to be able to maximize the overall experience. Preferably, obviously, I want to maximize the ROI, so I'd like to get monetized. But the more successful this channel is, the more content that I can create. I'm looking to hire a full-time social person who will be responsible for the videos on this channel, as well as promoting them. So your efforts help me with those efforts, and the content or the quality can be greater, it can be more varied, you name it. Okay, let me get to those of you that have asked some questions already. And the first question I have here is from Jennifer. So you're the first for this episode 9. So your question is, with privacy being highly important to social media users, how can Facebook assure that their users' privacy is secure when using messaging platforms such as WhatsApp? Interesting question, difficult for me to answer, but let's see what we can do, Jen. All right, I do not work for Facebook, so I'm not qualified to be able to say that how can Facebook assure their users that the end-to-end encryption or privacy is actually secure. And you're asking specifically about messaging platforms. So let's kind of tackle this a couple of ways. Number one, I'm in complete agreement with you that social networks should have a clear-cut privacy agreement, not hundreds of scroll-through pages of text between the rights of you for utilizing their platform and how they're going to utilize your data, right? So that's one aspect of it. But I agree with you, privacy is completely important, and that how can they assure users? Well, they can have a Bill of Rights, let's say, and that would be, here's the Facebook Consumer Bill of Rights. This is what we promise you. This is what you're going to give us in exchange for that. And then, because we understand these platforms are advertising platforms, and they need to make money off of our data because it's their data that's driving businesses to advertise with them. Otherwise, there could be a pay-to-play model where you pay for the app, you pay for your usage in exchange for having none of your data being captured or misused, right? I mean, that's one aspect. As far as the security of the messaging platform, yeah, Facebook should answer for that, because there has been some question about whether brands are able to listen in to that piece of it. Because you've got your conversation on Facebook and on Facebook Messenger. Now, Facebook Messenger is not end-to-end encrypted, and Facebook is utilizing your chat on Facebook Messenger and on Instagram Messenger. Those are not end-to-end encrypted. The only messaging that Facebook is guaranteeing that is end-to-end encrypted is on WhatsApp. So buyer beware on that. But how can we be 100% certain that Facebook is not listening in that aspect as well too, to collect data for their revenue stream of advertising. That I'm not sure of. I need to shift my feet for a minute. This could be a TikTok video right here. Anyway, I've been standing still in place for a couple of hours of recording videos now. Okay, all right. Sorry, hope you're not seasick watching that. Anyway, great question, Jen. I'm not exactly sure how Facebook can do that other than what I've just indicated, and whether or not governments get involved, like how Europe, has been doing, and passing some really tough legislation to ensure consumer privacy. America needs to do similar. But then again, at the same time, governments need to be able to assure you that they're not spying and listening in like how the NSA is doing. And the NSA, of course, with the whole Edward Snowden incident, whether you see him as a patriot or a traitor, how he enlightened us that even though people like Jim Clapper and Jim Comey, who testified before Congress and said that they were not spying on us, comes to find out they lied under oath, and they were. So if government can't protect us from the corporations because they're doing it themselves, then who can? And then of course Google, the biggest spy network on the planet, they originated out of DARPA, which was a government defense laboratory that, anyway, you can put all the pieces together, and I won't get myself in trouble by saying anything on, on social media about it. But great question, Jennifer. All right, the next question that you ask here. I gotta stop saying live. See, these are the things that if it's not the Marketing Kitchen Q&A live, they're the ones that I would have like my social person edit out. When I'm standing on stage speaking, I've trained myself not to ever, when there's a pause, not to go or I guess in the comfort of my home, I'm a bit more chill and relaxed, and I'm not as disciplined as when I have a live audience in front of me. Speaking about controlled and disciplined, how sad is it? I want to stay away from politics here, but how sad is it? Perhaps you've watched former Vice President Joe Biden in his library doing his own COVID-19 Q&A events, and how bad they are. Now, I should stay away from politics, but if there's anybody on Vice President Biden's staff watching one of these videos, if you were to give me 5 days with the Vice President, I would transform those in-home sessions into something really great. But at the same time, you'd have to pay me a lot of money to do that, because I want Donald Trump to be reelected. And I know I want to stay away from politics, but the COVID-19 virus erased the enormous gains that I earned under the Trump administration. Let's just take stock market and 401k alone. But, well, actually, as bad as the stock market has been, some of my stocks are still, they're not intact, but because of the Trump economy, I'm not net negative, okay? So what we need, though, this is my own personal opinion, what we need is Donald Trump to be reelected again, because under his leadership, we will see we'll see a quicker recovery, and we will see similar gains or greater over the next 4 years. So if your 401k has been hit, if your stock portfolio has been hit, if you're looking for a job, and if you feel that American manufacturing should return from overseas back to America, or if you're in a country in Europe and you would like to see the EU, or if you're in the UK, or if you're like in Singapore where I am right now, and you would like to see manufacturing return to your country, and you would like to see someone like China, who is the creator of this virus, whether or not it was biologically created, it began there and it spread there, and the World Health Organization has blood on its hands because it covered up for China, then if you want to see that type of system continue, then you elect someone else. But if you want to see the reins pulled in on all of that, and you want to see a quick recovery, and you want to see your 401k, and you want to see your stock portfolio go up, then Trump is the answer. All right, that was my political 5 cents, 2 cents. Jennifer, sorry about that. Let me get to your question there. New systems are always arising, which means legacy systems are inherently here to stay. Rather than putting a complete end to legacy systems, how can companies leverage other methods to make these old systems less daunting to deal with? Whew, you're making full use of the 280 characters, and I love it. That's great. That's a very specific question. Let me try to answer that without knowing exactly what the legacy system is, okay? All right, yeah, I agree with you. So just because you have a legacy system doesn't mean that you need to ditch it. And that legacy system could be software, that legacy system could be hardware. So that could be older laptops or tablets or PCs or server. And you don't want to ditch it all. Now, of course, there are cloud solutions. And one thing that I would do if I were a company and I had an old server network, I, of course, would upload my data to the cloud because of all of the efficiency that creates. It gets rid of a lot of on-premise IT. At the same time, however, as much as I might like or love the efficiency and potential cost savings of the cloud, and that's both on manpower, that's both on hardware, that's both on just the accessibility to reach that, one of the difficulties, unfortunately, are the fact that what if something does go wrong? So you could take a lot of your legacy hardware and you could back up. You could potentially save money by allocating some of your legacy systems for the running of a microsite that's not on the cloud that you want to control. Yeah, there's a number of things that you could make use of. The only problem that I have, Jennifer, is that then you might have a hodgepodge of new and old, and sometimes it's really better in an IT play to get rid of, well, obviously you do it in phases based on budget, but the sooner that you can have everybody working on the same version of an operating system, utilizing the same software, utilizing the same platform on the same type of device, the more efficient overall the organization will be. So I agree with you that there's not a need to upset everyone because change is difficult, and with the change of hardware or software, then there's going to be some anxiety and training necessary to do so. So in phases you would want to do that, but at some point you would want to have a plan in place where you upgrade it. Typically in an organizational level to the people that are most utilized, and this doesn't actually happen, but this is how it should. So typically when something new comes out, the people who are least likely to use it are the ones that get it. And so because they're the ones that wrote the check for it. So upper leadership will get the newer device and the newer software, etc. But yet the people who are on the ground, who use the software more or use the device more, don't. It should be the reverse of that. But so you would want to put together some system where it's done in phases, so that you're eventually, though, moving towards a new system. One of the worst things that you can do is keep adding on to a legacy software system. Why? Because then there's data loss, there's compatibility issues, the sales team might not be able to interact with the customer service team or the online customer service team versus the phone bank or tele team. So yeah, there's a lot of considerations in that. It's a very great question, broad question, yet specific, but it's a multifaceted answer. Anyway, I hope that covers it for you, Jennifer. Sandra, Interesting read discussing legacy systems. They can be old and outdated, causing problems within a business. And that's kind of what I was just saying, Jen. Having old systems in play certainly can create some problems there. What do you believe companies should to do? I'm guessing you're saying. What do you believe companies should do in order to transition from legacy to there? Well, okay. So Sandra, I sort of answered this when responding to Jennifer's question, and that was the fact that you want to put a system in place where you phase out the legacy systems in favor of new, whether again this is hardware, software, or both. You would want to have the people who are utilizing it. You want to do a beta test, of course. You don't want to just shut something down without first doing a soft implement of it. So test to see, so let's say you're tacking on to a legacy system. You would want to do a small test to see how that works out before you do a complete rollout of something new. And you have a small test group or segment of doing that. You want to do a clear timeline of when you're going to start the program to when the program is expected to end, with clear milestones along the way. Again, whether this is hardware, software, or both. You want to avoid, again, integrating the old with the new as much as possible. But again, you don't want to transform the entire organization overnight, because there could be a headache with some other aspects. Because you may be just getting rid of one silo for one potentially department or business unit, while the rest of the organization is running with something else because it's not necessary for them to have it, right? And so the difficulty there is just understanding who should get the upgrades first, how large that's going to be, and then how that is integrated back to what's existing. But you wouldn't want to transform the entire organization overnight. That would be a logistic nightmare, a training nightmare, and you would actually probably create a lot of anxiety. You could potentially lose sales, production, your supply chain could be disrupted, and you could have people just outright quit. Because of the fear of learning something new. Great question, Sandra. Mariah, is transforming legacy systems necessary for every company in order to stay relevant? Why do I feel that I've asked this question before? I think I have, haven't I? Oh well, let me answer that briefly. I'm not even going to hit the timer for that one. The answer is no, it is not necessary for every company to do that. I know I've answered this question before. And if I haven't, please talk to me in the comments there. And if I have, put the link to which episode that was that I did, so that then I can inform the audience about that. But yeah, no, it is not necessary for every company to do that to stay relevant, because it really is about your product, your service, your market, your audience. And if what you have is doing well for you, that would be like me as a consultant going in and telling a mom and pop shop, paint shop, that they need to get rid of their current inventory management system, and they need to get rid of their standard old school cash register and get an iPad and utilize Square and have contactless payments, and or even tell them that they have to start taking credit cards over cash. And maybe that's not necessary for their business, because they invoice their customers, and most of their customers are commercial and they love doing business with them as business is. You would just be causing complete havoc to that type of business to force them to make some type of transition like that. So really, it depends upon the business, the market, the product service, the customer, whether or not that's necessary. All right, should have done the timer. Sandra asked the question, we see the impact social media has on our community and now can even provide jobs for some. Do you think relying on social media for news can be harmful impact on society? Okay, that's a good one. That's one I know I haven't answered yet. Uh, yeah. So, yeah, social media is great. But what makes social media great also makes social media horrible. So, social media amplifies the best of us and it amplifies the worst of us, right? It's just one of those. It's just one of those types of things because. So let's take the life of an influencer. You can have that positive person who is showing you the highlight reel of the very best things that happens to their life through a filter. You don't know what they really look like. You don't know how they've doctored their face, doctored their voice, whether or not they actually own the clothes they're wearing or whether they're renting them, or whether they're borrowing them, whether they've got somebody doing lighting for them, they have makeup on, all of that. So you don't know whether they're a poser, right? Or whether or not that's real because they are crafting a social image for you, right? So everything in their life looks amazing. It's their highlight reel. Then you got other people who are on social who are the exact opposite of that. They tell you everything about their life without a filter. Their photos are without a filter. They'll take a picture of themselves on the toilet. They'll show you them making some rubbish meal that they don't know how to properly plate, and they don't care. They'll tell you everything good or bad about their life, and then that becomes exaggerated because it's pretty much maybe all about the bad. Then you might have somebody in the middle who's well balanced, right? But the same thing happens with news on social and the way we talk about news. Headlines really dictate what we see today. A lot of us don't actually read the article. We certainly don't verify the source behind that particular article. So social media news can become a drag on our society because if we're being manipulated, and bots, by the way, I mentioned this in another episode, if you're a conservative Republican, the same article on Facebook will have a different title that will be favorable. So let's say as a conservative Republican, the title that you would read is that Donald Trump manages COVID-19 crisis handily. If you are a liberal Democrat looking at the same article on Facebook, what you will see is the headline will read, Donald Trump mishandles the COVID-19 virus, blah, blah, blah. And I wish I had proof to show you right now, but there was actually one day when I was logged in on my iPhone. My iPhone, I don't have my VPN turned on most of the time. On my iPad, I have it turned on all the time. And why am I touching my face? Maybe because I'm talking about COVID-19 and I'm not supposed to be. But when I was logged in with the VPN, it didn't know who I was. It didn't have my history. And there was the digital version of the Wall Street Journal, and it did exactly that. It had a negative connotation headline of Donald Trump. When I had logged in and I happened to see on my iPhone, same exact article, the headline was completely different. It was favorable of Donald Trump. So if we're just utilizing or we're using headlines to already pre-bias us to how we're going to read the article, then already it becomes fake news to a certain point. So yeah, to answer your question, Sandra, social amplifies the good and the bad. When it comes to news, you really have to verify the source. Now, because I lean conservative, I'm a libertarian myself, and that means I like limited government intervention in all things. But I enjoy Drudge, and Drudge Report. So if you haven't been to drudgereport.com, but he is using a filter based on his view of the world as to what articles it's there. Now, it's up to you to read those articles, understand where they're coming from, who wrote them, and the background. That's on you. I don't like the fact that Facebook has these filters there saying to verify, that they verifying the legitimacy of an article, because that's their filter. You should read something and filter it yourself. But social can certainly harm the news because of the filter that either the platform does or the person whose website it is there. And then based on the cookies, Facebook wants you to see, or Google or whoever it is, they want you to see things that you've already predetermined that you like. It's just like Amazon isn't going to recommend products that they think you'll dislike. They're recommending products that you will like. Well, that's what news networks are doing on their on their social platforms as well. So something to be aware of. Okay, that I'm going to, all right, I'll answer one more, and this will be it for this particular video. Hopefully, I remember I did this one day, and then I got on this whole Disney tangent for 30 minutes. Hopefully this will be one that I can answer within 2 minutes. How about that, Charles? Do you think marketers will have to put in a concerted effort this year to reduce public worry, re the coronavirus? Do you think marketers will have to put in a concerted effort this year to reduce public worry? All right, let me try to answer that, thinking about what it is that you're trying to ask me to get, so what answer you're looking for. So I'm trying to be like a filter on one of those social news platforms. I'm going to filter my answer to give you the answer that I think that you're searching for by your question. I think that especially, so sure, okay, let's talk. US Post Office, Amazon, Deliveroo, Grubhub, Uber Eats, Grab Food, or whatever they are, whatever they're called. Anyway, any food delivery service, or McDelivery, or Starbucks delivery, whoever it is, anybody in the F&B business right now is doing a concerted marketing effort, one, to let you know that they're around and that they're open, and whether for you to come in to get takeout food, or if you're in a country like Singapore where we actually can still go to a mall and we can still actually go buy food and eat it there. Woo! Wow, that's amazing, isn't it? One of the few countries in the world that hasn't locked their citizens down with such tight measures. So congratulations, Singapore, for not destroying your own economy, unlike some of these other countries like America and a number of others that have done that. All right, sorry, that's a tangent that I won't do for today. So anyway, these brands that are doing a bang-up delivery service, they're having to spend some money on marketing to let you know that they've created a system. And I received an email from McDonald's and from Starbucks and a couple of other brands, some of the delivery brands, showing me that they have a contactless system. So in other words, the food is cooked in a tested, secure environment. It's bagged and sealed. The person will then deliver it at your home. They will ring your doorbell, knock on your door, or you'll get a ping on your app. They'll leave it on your doorstep. You're supposed to wait, count however many minutes they say, or seconds, before you open your door and then grab your food. Then they tell you about what to do with the bag, etc., right? So that's marketing spent on creating awareness around how to protect yourself from the virus, right? So that's reducing public worry. I think that when things reopen, movie theaters, so here in Singapore, the movie theaters have been shut down now because the cases had gone up. But for a while, the movie theaters remained open, and they had 2 seats together, and then they had a number of seats blocked off that you couldn't sit in, and they were every other rows. So they were encouraging social distancing in the theater. However, when movie theaters reopen here and around the world, certainly there will have to be some advertising put in place or some marketing explaining how the theaters, their HEPA filter system for the air, how the food is cooked and served, your seat. Movie theater seats are disgusting. You ever use your phone flashlight to look at your seat or look at the cup holder and how disgusting it is before you sit down? I do. I'm crazy about that. How about when you get on an airplane? So yeah, marketing budget will need to be spent on educating consumers about the steps that brands are taking to make their restaurant, their store, their mall, their aircraft, their lounge, their bar, their karaoke, their KTV, so it's a karaoke club, theater, concert venue, toilet, you name it, safe. So even Amazon had to do this with saying that the delivery, and then there was that incident I had read where somebody had been spitting on the packaging. So yeah, brands have got to take steps to protect, but then also to let people know that they've taken those steps. That was a great final question, Charles, and even though I answered it in over 2 minutes, and I tried to hold back and not put in my digs about the economy and what's best, I think, for flattening the curve, but yet keeping economies together. Because anyway, I believe that there needs to be a balance of flattening the curve but at the same time, keeping economies open and going so that people have jobs when we come out of this on the other side. Because if we are enter a Great Depression type scenario, what good was it surviving all of that time only for there to be such high unemployment, a dead economy, a depression, not a recession? We don't know what that looks like. We've not lived in that environment. My grandparents did. My grandparents told me what that was like. I don't want to live in that type of world, nor do I want to live in the lockdown, flatten the curve world that we're in too. So there has to be some balance in there. I've offered some answers on Twitter. I don't have all the answers. I'm not a medical expert. I'm not advising you or a government what to do or what not to do. I'm just offering my opinion, as I am as I talk about marketing. All right, thank you to everybody who asked a question today. If you have a question and you'd like to ask, it and have me answer it here on YouTube, then ask your questions at @MarketingKitchenTV on Twitter. Utilize the hashtag Q&A, and I will answer your questions here. Please remember to subscribe, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please offer your comments below. I'd love to read them. I will respond to every single comment that is made. It's my commitment. I believe that when you're on social media, you need to engage with the content that your audience, your consumers give back to you. Anyone who doesn't do that doesn't respect you. And so that's my commitment to you. So please, if you like, follow, subscribe, view, comment, whatever, I truly appreciate that. And I'm going to reward you by engaging back with you on that. All right, this was episode 9 of Marketing Kitchen TV Q&A Live. I look forward to seeing you in our next episode, which would of course be episode chapter part 10. All right, thanks a lot. Keep safe out there. See you again real soon. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Remember, there's always fresh content simmering on our storytelling stovetop. So whatever happens in this kitchen shouldn't stay in this marketing kitchen. I'm Ron Vining, your host, reminding you to invite your family and friends to the next episode of Marketing Kitchen TV.